we went to lunch last week and we said, what are we going to talk about? You know, I could teach a lot easier on buyer mastery, and you could probably teach a lot easier on seller mastery than probably us prepared for this. We were actually a little nervous. But it's pretty cool when you also have the opportunity to pray with a friend before this and just see where God leads us on this conversation for all of us today. But I want to start off with a question and a statement. Isn't it funny how, who has a plan in life? Isn't it funny how that plan doesn't mean much some days? And how sometimes life takes curves, doesn't it? So I think a lot of it is how we deal with those curves as we're thrown in this journey called life that we're going through. Bottom line, I think so much, and I've had to learn this the hard way, we're not driving. So I think we're going to talk about why you're planted here, why you're here today, why you ended up in real estate. And I think there's a deeper meaning to all this than us just trying to sell another house. And be thinking about that. My story is quite simple, and I'm just going to tell a couple stories, and then we'll turn it over to Danny and let him tell a story. But I started here. I was the first new agent that KW ever took a chance on in the spring of 1995. Literally, the first new person. They had 33 agents. And they were operating on card tables, and I walked in downstairs, and I don't know if I was stupid or lucky or both. Now I look back, I'm grateful for the people in my life. There's a gentleman by the name of Mike Brody. Who knows Mr. Mike? Great guy. He's the guy that interviewed me and brought me to the company. And the cool part was, he was like the wise owl. He was never around. He was president of TAR, and he always sold a lot of houses back in '95, and I always wondered how he did that. And he took a little bit of an interest in me, and I appreciated that. And you know, I think as we go through our day, how can we be a positive influence on others? And I'm going to tell you briefly, Mike, I hit a career in another person I'd probably like to thank is, she's never here. Y'all actually know I have a wife, because she's actually started showing up with my wife, Lisa. And she probably remembers this story of how I'd been in the business 18 months and I decided to quit because the business was out of control. Business was great, but I was out of control. Anybody got that feeling some days? Mm-hmm. Barely hanging on. Came in one time, my wife said, man, you got to do something different. This is ridiculous. And you haven't seen this little girl over in the corner named Chelsea. And I came to see Mike Brody. And I said, Mike, I got to see you, buddy. I'm getting out of the business. He said, you're the Rookie of the Year for the United States. How could you do that? I said, well, you know, my wife shot across my bow. She didn't sink my ship, but she shot across and said, you know, something's got to be done differently. And I looked to Mike that day. He took me to coffee and he said, Trae, you've got a choice. You control the business or it's going to control you. And I so appreciate Mike going out of his way because, like all of us, he was a very, very busy man. And he took me aside and had a talk with me that at the end of the day, even though, Mike, I have to remind him that was such a little thing for him and he was probably just going through his day, it changed my life. I was at a fork in the road. And I thought I was in this just to do a bunch of deals. And at the end of the day, I'm here because for me it's a ministry. It's a mission field, and I think all of us, as we go through our days, we're going to challenge you at the end to think about where you've been planted and who you can impact, like Mike impacted me.